Welcome to Own the Season podcast. We will talk to industry insiders along with outdoor enthusiasts to help you own your season. Now let's join hosts Art and Michelle Helen with Brad Jones. Own the Season podcast is sponsored by Griffin Armament, the oldest privately owned silencer manufacturer in the United States. Go to griffinarmament.com to learn how you can get a silencer shipped to your door. Griffin Armament, engineered silence.
Hello and welcome to Own the Season podcast. I'm Michelle Helen and I've got Art Helen and Brad Jones here. Today we're going to talk a little bit about predator control. And, we're still in the deer season here in Wisconsin. Archery season opens here like the second Saturday in September. So we've been at that now for a couple months, 2.5 months. We just finished our normal rifle season, which is nine days, I think. Oh. Weekend before Thanksgiving through the weekend after Thanksgiving.
Started our 10-day muzzleloader season
Muzzleloaders right now, yeah. There's a couple other
and then we go to a 4-day holiday, no-only hunt.
Yeah, there's some other stuff this winter. And archery season stays open throughout. Some parts of the state close early January. I think, Art, you said here we're the end of January?
Yep.
The farmland unit?
Yep.
Is that where we're at?
So we're the end of January, but so because we do so much bow hunting and stuff, after rifle season now, we might get out and try to do some muzzleloader hunting. Otherwise, we'll go bow hunting, but, we've got to wear blaze orange. When any rifle season is open,
any gun season,
or any gun season is open, we have to wear blaze orange, the gun requirement orange for the state of Wisconsin. So,
including a hat. I've seen a lot of pictures the last few days, guys out hunting in this cold weather, and they don't have their orange hat on. They have a camo hat on.
Yeah,
right. If you don't wear any hat, that's okay.
Yep, exactly.
But a hat, if worn, must be one of those blaze colors, which we can also do pink. I don't know if we can do a bright purple or if it's just the pink.
No, just pink,
okay.
Pink and orange. And I'm, so I think next year
you're gonna get yourself a bright pink hat.
I'm gonna get pink. I'm gonna change everything to pink because
you look good in pink, Art.
Well,
he usually has pink fletchings. It's not uncommon for Art to have pink fletchings.
I think. What the heck counts as pink in woods?
Yeah.
I mean, you shoot.
Easy to find.
When you're shooting green or yellow, you get in the fall and all of a sudden that thing gets buried and you're trying to find yellow and yellow leaves or green and green grass and or in a clover field. So you got pink. What else is out there that's pink, So
exactly.
And
we've got deer seasons going on, but we own the land, so we could be trapping for several different species that are kind of fall into that probably nuisance, category year round. But we have a few species that have specific seasons and sometimes special tags that must be drawn kind of through a lottery system or a preference point system. And this year, Art, you drew a bobcat tag.
I did. I drew a bobcat tag, and I waited. Season opens, I believe, it's like mid-October when you draw the tag. And
we have two seasons. There's two time periods. There's an early, which is a early and longer season. The coats aren't going to be good if you get one really super early, anyways. But then there's the and then they get better as the time goes on. And then the second season is much shorter in length.
Right.
So we've both preferred to just do the earlier season.
We do, and part of it is, we just got hammered with 12 inches of snow the other day, and which does not make trapping fun. Bobcats aren't so bad because they're not as picky. Raccoons are easy too, but coyotes, that gets tough. especially if you're doing dirt hole sets or walk-through sets. It's pretty tough when you got 12 inches of snow. But bobcats, they're a little different. You know, you can make some cubby sets. You can make some culvert sets, some different things. And the way that trap goes in, you don't have to worry so much about it freezing and stuff because they're not as picky as a coyote is. And so,
well, I mean, your ground can still freeze. I know you're using waxed dirt.
Yeah, the ground can freeze, but you can also put it more on top and leave the jaws somewhat exposed and whatever.
Yeah.
And they're just going to walk in. Where with coyotes, I mean, you've got to cover that whole thing.
Or we cover the jaws with leaves,
right.
You know, versus like covering it in dirt and having it be like invisible.
Right.
Yeah.
Where a coyote is, you know, completely different. And so I kind of waited because I wanted we had a warm fall. And then, so I kind of wanted that coat because I'm not allowed to get a full body anymore. The last tag I got was 3 years ago, and I got a 40-pounder, and that now sits probably on my wall in the office. And we've got a cat down there that we call Leopard. It's got the most unbelievable spots, most spotted cat I've ever seen.
Have you still been getting pictures of him?
I have.
Okay.
And
so if you don't catch him, I can.
Yes.
I mean, I got to wait another 2 years.
Yeah.
But
And so I've been trying, Michelle had to tag last year and tried to get him this year. And unfortunately, it hasn't happened yet. But if that cat, I would love to get another full body. I don't think my wife will allow that.
We do not need 2 full body bobcats in this house.
My goal is to get to 200 mounts. So that only means we need like 27 more or 28 more.
You need to revise your goal.
You'll have to buy a bigger place to hang everything.
That's the problem. We're wanting to go smaller.
Unfortunately, I've got deer heads laying on my floor. So yeah,
we do not need to.
So
what the plan would be is, Mama wants
this is Mama's plan.
For apparel. So I've got my bobcat hide, but
if you want
another
apparel,
bobcat hide would be lovely.
I think if you want apparel, I should start trapping skunks.
They're pretty. I mean, like, do something with them. It wouldn't be the same as what I have in mind for, bobcat.
Yeah, and if I
just picture like, well, I mean, my thought was to do like a headband, like a head warmer, headband thing, or like I could do glove, mittens, like a hand warmer thing. But just picture like maybe if you could catch some more coyotes, like a coyote. I've seen coyote vests and they're beautiful. There's somebody around here that's got a beautiful coyote vest, like a coyote vest with like bobcat trim. Ooh,
that'd be yeah. So anyway, I've got until I think Christmas
Day, I think.
I've got a little slight change of plans this week because I've got a few health things that I've got to get taken care of Thursday, which might lay me up for a few days. But then I'll be right back at it. But it doesn't mean that we haven't had some luck so far. I mean,
you've really put a smack on the possums.
Yeah.
Well, except you let them go, usually.
I don't.
Now, okay. Why is it? Now, let's talk about it from a habitat management, like deer management strategy. Why is it that we're trapping and or hunting predators?
Okay, I love to turkey hunt.
Mm-hmm.
All right, and I love my turkeys. And so when you're out trapping, looking at that predator, a lot of possums. Man, that's
possums
hard.
Really raid the turkey nests.
They do. They raid the turkey nests. bobcats are hard on poults. Coyotes are hard on turkeys. I've got pictures this year of coyotes actually taking hens, full-size hens, right off their nest, which is actually kind of a cool picture, but he does it right in the middle of the night. And,
Wow.
So that puts a big hurt on it. Raccoons are one of the biggest nest raiders there are. And since we've started putting a hurt on raccoons, possums, when I do have to end up shooting them for unknown reasons because my wife is with me and won't let me let it go. She's a very cruel-hearted woman. And, these things have helped. We've looked, and our turkey population has exploded. I mean, we've got great turkey numbers now. I mean, obviously, I do a lot of habitat work too, so we've changed a lot of habitat and done a lot of things that have helped that. But taking and getting rid of these nest raiders has really helped too, and that's why we're out there doing this and trapping. And trapping gets a bad name, I believe, because
at least I think people don't. It's unknown to people. It's to be honest, like we didn't know that much about it until we wanted to go after bobcat.
Right.
So I think it's there aren't as many people that trap as that people that hunt. So even hunters are not fans of trapping, right? Because it's something that they don't understand.
True, and they think, they still have this from, the movies and stuff from the 60s in their mind, these great big bear traps with teeth coming out. The teeth,
and, I think people think like traps with teeth.
Right,
I do think that.
Snapping their legs and breaking legs and all this stuff where...
Or like, I don't know, was that even in Bambi? I'm just I think there's even, cartoon movies where they have traps.
Where now it's different. Brad, you've been with me and watched me set some of these traps, and I believe... I'm not sure. I think you were there when I was trying to set them and actually, screwing around doing something and hit the pan and slammed it shut on my hand.
Right? Yeah.
And
we've survived and our fingers didn't break.
Right.
Yeah.
You didn't break your hand. You didn't break. All you do is, it's a little goofy trying to get it off your hand because you've only got one hand now. So you got to put the trap under a knee and then push down and release the jaws. But because of all the new best practice traps that are out there and stuff, they've come up with so many improvements and so many things that make them safer in case a dog gets into it or, you snap your hand in it, something like that. So it's easier to release this animal without harming them and things. I remember a dog. There was a story, I think it was last year or the year before, where there was a dog that got loose in northern Wisconsin, and they looked for this dog and looked for this dog. Oh, so it's like a lost dog. Yes, it was a lost dog, and they looked and looked and looked, and they could not find this dog.
That isn't that one I was following for a long time, was it?
I don't know.
Oh, I wonder.
It traveled forever, and it was, people would see it and they'd try to get it, and the dog was scared, and I don't know why, but it was scared to death.
They get
of whatever.
Really scared,
and it wouldn't come to anybody, this and that. Well, a gentleman happened to have traps out, and the dog must have been getting hungry, went in and got caught in a leg hold. And when he came in the next day, he had been seeing where this dog too, and keep a lookout for this.
The dog.
So as soon as he finds it, he recognizes this dog. He calls the owners and says, "Hey, I have this thing caught in the leg hold. I don't want to go up and release it because I don't know if I can hold on to it. It might get away. Can you get here?" And he just basically sat there with a cell phone, gave them directions. It was like a 2.5 hour drive for these people.
Oh, jeez.
They got there, went back. They said, "Yeah, that's our dog." The dog calmed right down when they saw it.
Aww.
He popped the leg hold with very, very minimal injury to the dog. You know, they took it to the vet and had a few scrapes and stuff, but very, very minimal.
Well, it's probably pretty rough if it had been on loose for a long time.
They got their dog back. And, you know, so you hear stories like that, and you're like, oh, okay, they're not so bad. I mean,
Well, if you trap enough, you're always going to catch non-target animals in the trap.
You are, and you're always going to have something that goes wrong. You know, I mean, sooner or later, it's inevitable. Just like anything in life, if you do it long enough, something's going to happen. And so, you know, no matter how you do this, you may get a squirrel that's got little small legs that ends up breaking a leg or something, but it very seldom happens. You know,
on the flip side, their legs are so small. Like, we use offset jaws.
Right.
So even when the trap is sprung and the jaws are closed, there's a gap. So like, they're barely in there if they've got such skinny legs, you know? Yeah. Or maybe they're only in there because their paw is fatter than their leg, you know?
And so it's, you know, I can't tell you how many possums I've actually
He's afraid to admit it. Because, you know, like the possum, I've seen pictures where the possum fur makes really cute, like, pom-poms on stocking caps. And if you're really worried about your turkeys. But Art, for some reason, like, has this love of possums, and he actually thinks they're cute.
They got the cutest little pink nose.
I know.
You know, people are like, oh, they're, you know, it's funny when you catch one in a trap, though, because everybody's
playing
like,
dead.
Everybody's like, so how hard is it? You know, because if you catch a bobcat or even a raccoon that you're not going to keep, something like that, you know,
why would anybody not shoot a raccoon?
Yeah, I know. But, I mean, there's times I actually had to let one go once.
You just don't want to deal with it for whatever reason. I don't know.
And because I didn't have time, I didn't want to deal with it, so I was letting this go. Well, you got to use a board or something, you know,
because they're feisty.
To get this thing, because they're feisty and mean and want to bite you and everything else, which I don't blame them, right? But the possum, you go in there and you're just like, hey, and they kind of lay on their side, and all you hear while you're trying to release them is they go, that's their mean growl, I guess.
They're kind of playing dead, but they're still hissing.
Yeah, they lay there on their side, and they open up their mouth just a little bit and go, and then you let them go, and you pop the thing out, and they look at you for a second, and they walk about 5 yards away and turn around and look at you like, thanks, and then just keep on cruising. And, you know, I caught a badger.
Oh, wait, before we get to those, we also caught a turkey.
Oh, yes, I've caught turkeys, a couple of them.
Wow. Did you caught more than one?
Yeah.
I remember when
I caught the one up at Pearson's, and then I caught one up here at the cabin last year.
Oh, I didn't remember that. But, like, I remember the one up north. We were up at Eric's, and that was when I had a fisher tag. So we started out over in Florence County.
Yeah.
And, you know, we set boxes with Connie Bears for the fisher primarily, but we also set a few coyote sets while we were out there because Eric would be happy if we, you know, caught any coyotes. So we had a few that just footholds that were, you know, out in open fields and dirt hole sets and whatnot. And then, you know, what you do is you kind of make them flashy, and you have bare dirt showing instead of snow, because I had some snow on the ground. So what do the turkeys think? Ooh, here's some bare ground I can scratch on, you know, and maybe dust themselves, but definitely scratch. They were definitely like scratching. So I remember we're like riding around in the Ranger, you know, checking traps every day, and we pull up, and I'm like, oh, there's a turkey in the there's a turkey in the like, and it's not moving.
Whoops.
So yeah, it was a hen.
And she to clarify, she was moving as being alive.
I mean, she didn't leave. No, yeah. I mean, she wasn't flying away or like running away as we approached.
Yeah.
So yeah, she was not feisty. You know, she was not like trying to attack us or anything. But then when we let her out, she like ran under the Ranger to hide and wouldn't just leave. So we had to like crawl under the, you know, like shoo her out from underneath the Ranger. And then she took off and flew, and she was fine. But I have heard of that happening with badgers too, with people.
Mm-hmm.
They are not as easy to let go, which Art has personal experience with that. But I have heard of that happening and people letting the badger go, and then it goes and runs under their truck or their vehicle, and then they have no way to leave because the badger's waiting for them under their vehicle.
And I mean, in
but
the
you
power,
caught one, was it? That'd be 3 years ago.
Yeah,
then?
in the power, trying to hold a board, and their nose, as he's trying to even push that under that board to get to, that foothold. It was just incredible, I'm because they dig another hole, so he's down in this hole, and I'm like, how am I going to get this thing out of here? So I finally got the board to get in there, and then trying to release it. Well, I couldn't, because of the power of him. So what I ended up doing is I took my catch pole and I actually wrapped that around one of the springs, the spring lock release, and I took that and I cinched it as tight as I could get it so it opened that side of the jaw. And then after I got that done, then what I did is I used my hand to hold that board, do what I had to do, and then release the other one with my hand. And when I released that, then it popped out. And all he did is backed up in the hole and sat on his butt and growled and snarled.
Right.
And
I mean, it really could have been like a 4-handed job.
Yeah.
To probably get it done, right?
And, if he would have been not in that hole, life would have been a lot easier, because then all you do is you take that board and you take the animal and you push them, you hold that board, because you're talking like a 4 foot by 4 foot, 3 foot by 3 foot board with handles.
A piece of plywood.
Yeah, piece of plywood, and then you cut a V in it. You put that V over the chain, and you push that back of the chain and back that animal up as far as they can go as long as your chain is. Once they're at the end of that, they have nowhere to go. So then all you do is you put that V over the top of their leg and put the trap on your side. Once that trap's on your side, then you hold that piece of plywood there, and you step on each one of those releases, and you release it, and away they go. No harm, no foul, and animal runs away, and life is good. So we've been there, we've done that. We've had to do that with bobcats too. Even when we have tags, which is very contradictory to, like we said, predator control. But,
you had a really recent example of this.
Well, I have. So Michelle caught one last year. She had a tag. She caught a smaller female last year. It was probably, a 10, 12-pound cat. I mean, it wasn't a very big female.
Yeah, she was about the size of a large house cat.
Yeah.
And
Okay.
so, yes, it's a cat, but just to kill something because you have the tag for it, I guess, you have that right, and people can do that. Just not my cup of tea.
And you're kind of targeting that one cat that
Right.
you keep seeing too,
Yeah.
right?
We are.
I mean, there were others.
And
yeah,
there's
that
a
would be
couple
nice.
others.
There's others that would have.
I've got 2 other pretty
bigger,
big
too.
males that if I can get one of those 2 males, we're good. But this year on trail camera, I had a female with 4 kits. I had a female with 3 kits and 3 other males cruising the area. Well, what was it? 3 days ago, I guess. 4 days, something, I can't remember. Just before the snow. When did we get the snow?
Saturday.
Saturday?
Yeah. Friday
So-
night into Saturday.
Okay, so it would have been Saturday morning. Because I went out to release all the traps because you can't, during that snow. I knew I wasn't going to get out there because I plow snow.
I don't think you went out Saturday morning.
Well, it was Saturday midday, I thought.
You went out Saturday in the day. Okay.
Yeah. So I think that was.
Can't remember if it was
yeah,
Friday or Saturday.
I think it was Saturday
Anyways,
midday.
recently.
Anyway, because you have to, in the state of Wisconsin, contrary to what people are saying, I've talked to DNR. They say cell cameras, that they became a law. No, they have not become a law yet that you can use them. And my own personal
Well,
thoughts.
you can't. You gotta finish the sentence. You cannot use.
Monitor your traps.
You cannot use trail cameras to do your daily checks.
Right.
Of your traps.
Gotcha.
And for me, that's fine. I have a lot of cell cameras, and I've found out that they don't always send you information.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would rather check anyway, and make sure that things are right than rely on a cell camera.
I mean, I think like I know that people, this has happened. Gosh, I wish this would have happened to me, but like I you know, because we belong to the Facebook, at least I do. I don't know if you're on it or not, the Wisconsin Trappers Facebook group. So you learn a lot there. People share their success pictures. People ask questions and so forth. There was somebody, you know, in the last couple of years, he had a bobcat tag and he went out and set traps and he barely got home. Like it was 20 minutes later, he gets a picture and he's got a bobcat in his trap.
Yeah.
So you can turn around and you can go out and get it early instead of waiting. Yeah, instead of waiting till the next morning like he normally would have, he could go out right away.
And I monitor all mine. I have
You
a
would
cell
do the same
cam.
thing
Yeah,
if
I have a
something
cell
showed up.
cam on every one of mine. But again, sometimes I get the information, sometimes I don't. So I would rather make sure that information is correct. Plus, follow all the laws and rules and regulations because it says I have to check them, you know, within 24 hours. Every day. So I do. And
Or daily. Just
or
says daily.
yeah, daily. And so I go out and check these. So Saturday, anyway, before the big snowstorm comes in, you also have to, if you're not, you know you're not going to be able to check those within that 24 hours. By law, you are supposed to disable that trap. And so I had to go out to disable all my traps because I knew I was going to be plowing snow in that big storm and not be able to get out and do what I had to do to check them, right? And so I get out there on Saturday and I pull up to my first trap and I'm like, trap is, you know, I see the trap is off and I'm like, okay, word, because I've got a drag on that one. And so I'm kind of looking because it's a long chain, and all of a sudden I see this little kitten bobcat head kind of pop over this log. And I see the chain, and I'm like, oh, man, not what I need. I don't want, you know, I'm thinking, which kitten is this? And I'm going to go release her and, you know, let this down. But I want to take a picture of her first because she's kind of a cute little thing. And so I go over, and as I kneel down in front of her, to take this picture, I just snapped the picture and I hear this growling, hissing, and something hauling. And I'm like, what the? And I look over my right shoulder and I'm like, holy shit. And here come Mama, and she is not happy. And she is coming down the trail about Mach 90, and she is making every noise in the world. So I am not as fast and as limber and as whatever as I used to be, right? But at that moment, I became 20 again. And what do? I drop my phone, I cover my neck and my head and start rolling on the ground and flaring my feet in the air like an absolute idiot.
I wish there was a cell cam nearby on video.
Trying to keep her, you know, in case she decides to try to attack me, to keep her away from me, away from my head. Well, she doesn't. Thankfully, she kind of stops, and she stops by her kit to check on her kit. So I go, kind of compose myself, get up, and I run her off again. And then I've got the board, everything else. So as I run her off, I go back over to the kit. I push up, I get the board, and just as I'm about ready to pop this, here she comes again, so I have to stop. Well, then I notice here's the other three kits, up a tree about 25 yards from me. So I yell at Mama, get her off, or get her out of there again, turn back around, pop the board, push the trap, release the kit. She goes by, Mama makes a couple little noises. She does some noise. She runs right past Mama and up the tree with the other kids. So she's now up the tree. All of them are there. I'm thinking, this is over, right? So as I turn around to kind of walk away, here come Mama one more time, which again, I don't blame her. It is the same thing we all would do as parents, right? We are there to defend our kids. That's what we do. And so she comes in, so I throw the board at her, and she kind of leaps over the board. I jump in my Ranger, and I'm gone. I'm like, I will come back and fix everything later. I come back 5-10 minutes later, and they are gone. You know, she has them out of the tree, and they're gone. So then I reset all the traps and everything else and went, okay, now it's hopefully, you know, and the thing is I had my 22 with me. Could I have legally shot Mom? Yeah, I mean, I would have had to get the
You
gun
legally
out
could have harvested any of the 5.
Right, I could have legally harvested any of them.
Because
but
but
again, there's as I get older, you know, when I was younger, I didn't care less. But now as I get older and soft side of me starts coming out a little more, I'm like, you know, I can't just shoot Mama and let these 4 kids try to defend for themselves. And other people are going to say, well, you know, I would have done that because we need to get rid of all these, blah, blah, blah. Well,
yeah. And you know, the reality is that, you know, the kits are old enough that they would survive.
Maybe.
You know, likely on their own, you know. Otherwise, there would be a law against harvesting.
Right, they wouldn't let you trap till a certain time, right?
See, right, or they wouldn't let us they won't let us trap females.
And you know, thinking about that, it's like bears. You know, you can't shoot a sow with cubs.
Right.
You know, so I mean thinking about that, that's kind of weird.
Yeah.
Of course, with trapping, how do you know though? Because if you've got
right.
Mama, she might have those kits somewhere else that you never see.
Mm-hmm.
I was unfortunate to get one of the kits and you know, go the other route. But so anyway, you know, that's kind of what we're doing now is we're in the bobcat phase of things. I kind of started out, let's kind of do some makeshift sets where it was more coyote and bobcat. And Michelle's like, you know, you get all kinds of time for that. How about you switch it and look at just cat sets?
Yeah, because I think the other problem, I'm going to call it a problem, that you and I have both had is when it comes to coyote trapping is that we both, the bobcat was our, you know, the species that got us into trapping, right? And that's kind of what we learned to trap first. So we learned, you know, bobcat cat sets and how to set an attractive, you know, cat set, you know, something that's has eye appeal and trying to really, you know, draw them in to that cat set. And then, you know, either that same year, later in the year, like over the winter or the next years in between when we're not drawing tags, you know, let's do some coyote trapping. And, you know, Art's done more of that than I have because of his, you know, self-employed schedule and able to check traps more than I do. And I remember, like, you had all these, the first year especially, like, had all these coyote traps and, you know, weren't, you know, seeing much success. And we asked a friend of ours who helped us, you know, taught me how to trap and you know, hey, can you just come over? Can you ride with us and take a look, you know, at our sets and give us some advice? And that kind of what he said is, you're still thinking cat trapping, and these are coyote sets now. So, you know, we kind of have like bobcat on the brain, and that's like the lens that we're looking through when we're setting traps, because that's what we learned first. And had success with that. Both of us in our first years of bobcat trapping. And the second time around, I mean, I caught that one too. And you've caught one now again. So, you know, we've had some success with that. And so that's kind of coloring how you're setting your coyote traps. And then these kind of like combo sets. maybe aren't effective for either.
Yeah.
You know, I think you need to pick one or the other. And maybe like a walkthrough set's different because you're not putting out, it's not, you know, it's hidden and it's on a trail.
Right.
Who knows what you're going to get. Like that's where I cut my coyote was on a walkthrough set when I was bobcat trapping. So that's different. But I think the other ones, you kind of need to stay in a lane and you're either setting it for bobcats or you're setting it for coyotes.
And it's tough because, again, with the weather change here in Wisconsin, you go from like the other night, I did miss one of the 3 males that I was hoping for that I had on camera. Again, the ground, that one was the half and half kind of makeshift thing. And
so more dirt,
and it had partially frozen, and so it had caught the cat. Unfortunately, there was a chunk of dirt that was frozen, got stuck, so it didn't quite close all the way. And I watched the cat in the trap for like 10, 15 minutes and thought, okay, I'm going to load up and go get this cat. And then the next picture came in and there was no cat there. And I'm like, well, how the heck did this happen? And so once I got out and looked, I saw a frozen piece of dirt that was stuck between the jaws, and left it just wide enough that he could get out. So actually I should have already had my cat, but again, lesson learned, you know, and we're still learning. We're still trying to figure things out.
And things do get trickier as it freezes. I mean, I've seen that question posted on the Facebook group too, like how is, you know, and then the people that are newer like us, you know, asking the questions and then people chime in. And it's usually like, you know, like if you're doing some sets like under pines, if you have evergreens, which we don't have much, we don't have any.
Well, that's
like
where this new set. That's where this new set's
or over
go.
on the neighbor. Yeah,
that's where this.
You know, where the ground isn't going to freeze. You know, it's more insulated. Yep. You know,
right.
And maybe it's where the cats want to be too. So that was one, and then the other was like lots of waxed dirt.
and so my plan and antifreeze, flake antifreeze.
Yeah, you use that too.
That's what I found really interesting when I went out with you, Art. What, you know, I thought you just put a trap down, you're basically done. But watching you screen that dirt or the wax dirt, and then you sprayed it with some glye, you would use cotton underneath the pad. You would taken a lot of things, a lot of thought process setting the traps. It's a lot different than what I thought.
Yeah. A lot different than what I thought too when I started.
Well, and I remember that too. I mean, Art's done a lot more than I have had to with the worrying about the freezing. You know, I think maybe we did that more on some footholds for my Fisher, but otherwise, because Art's been doing more of the coyote, and I've been doing my bobcat earlier. You know, when the weather's still warm, I've had success. So Art has more experience with all those techniques you just mentioned, and that's all about making the trap work when the ground freezes. But I remember, you know, interestingly, like I got my trapping license before Art did because I had drawn a bobcat that year. And so I did the Trapper Ed and then had our friend come out and kind of teach me. And of course I did the Trapper Ed. It was like all like correspondence course. So I had like literally like never touched a trap, you know, did the Trapper Ed course, passed it, you know, but then I said, can you come out and he was letting us borrow his stuff that year too. So we didn't have to have the expense of a lot of, you know, equipment or any equipment because he didn't have a tag or he had a late season maybe. So he's like, yeah, you can use everything. And so, you know, and he was going to come out and help me, you know, set some traps, teach me how and where and some of those things. And so we get to the first spot. He's like, what are you thinking? And so, you know, we go, okay, let's go there first. And then we get there and so the first one, he's doing like a little bit more of it, you know, too. And then we grab the trap and I'm like, I have to be honest, like I have no idea how to set that. Like I have no idea. I've never held a trap, you know, so he, you know, taught me how to handle the trap and set the trap and, you know, not hurt myself. And, you know, the one thing that's so important in setting the footholds is they have to be rock solid and not wiggle. They cannot move. And so you're trying to, get it in the ground and pack it, but yet it needs to be able to move. You can't have dirt, under the pan where the pan won't depress and trigger. So you have to keep that clear, which is why Art uses the screen when he's sifting, dirt for the coyote sets. But it has to be rock solid. It has to be like level, smooth and rock solid, because if the animal doesn't step on the pan on the first step, and they step anywhere around the pan, and they're going to be stepping on that open jaw that's hidden or buried, the ground doesn't normally wiggle under their feet when they're out walking. So they're going to, leave or be suspicious and, not continue their approach if they step somewhere and there's a wiggle. So fast forward to the next year when Art has his bobcat tag, and now I'm the teacher and he's the student, and he's, trying to get this done and trying to kind of get it done, kind of in a hurry, right? We're busy people, and like a lot of people, and we want to move on to the next spot. And,
and if you've ever had to try to learn from a woman,
don't even start. He's, he's got a lot of wiggle. And I'm like, nope, it wiggles. You gotta keep do it, keep going. And, nope, it's still a wiggle. And, I kind of finally said he was getting frustrated. And I said, well, it's your trapping. It's your tag. And it's your trap. You do with it what you want.
Lesson learned. I didn't listen to her. And that was the first time in my life that I've not listened to her. After 33 years of marriage, and
that'll learn you.
Yeah, I always listen to her, and so I didn't listen to her. Come back a couple days later, and this trap is dug up and flipped over. And so I started researching. I'm like, what in the heck happened here? These coyotes are so smart. And animals are so smart that if they step on that trap and it wiggles like that, they will actually find those edges and dig that out with their paws and flip that thing over. And that they just get there and there'll be like a hole.
So not only might they leave and be afraid and leery and leave the trap, but they actually can do the opposite and find it and dig it up.
Yep. And then they find it and dig it up, then you better move the set trap or something's going to change for a little bit, because they're smart enough.
Now you've educated them a little bit, huh?
Yep. Yeah. Now they understand it.
Yeah.
And that's, so I think my strategy here is going to change now with all this snow. And like I said, once I get through these health issues on Thursday, I'm hoping that by the end of the weekend or first part of next week, I can get back out there and resume, because I've got until Christmas, I think. Is I've got a couple pine sets that I want to do over there off the edge of the road that cuts through the pines. And also, check some of these cameras and find the trails. Find these, coyote trails or predator trails, not necessarily deer trails. And some of the deer trails you can do, but start putting out some cable restraints and get those set. And, if it's going to be where there's a deer trail coming through there, you put it so it's at least, the right heights for law. But then what I do is on each side of that is I will arch a branch or something to make either the deer obviously won't go through it or over it anymore. So they're either going to jump it or they're going to go around it. Most of the time they're going to jump it because it's low enough that they can do that, but it's still high enough that you're not going to catch your rabbits and stuff like that. It's still going to be at, the lawful height.
And your target height.
Yeah, and your target height. And, so kind of looking at probably switching some of that and start running some of those cable restraints too. And then I will run those the rest of the year up until I need to pull them, which I think is sometime in February.
Yeah, there's a specific time frame for the cables.
Yeah, and,
So
and it's weird.
It's the cat, your cat tag that's only good till Christmas. You were saying that?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay.
Yep. Cat tag is only good till then, and then I will really, then my other sets and stuff, I'll kind of switch those back out and start looking at more walkthrough sets, more cable restraints, different things for coyotes. Looking at that, and focus on, change that whole focus on warm days, things like that. When it starts warming up, I'll put out, coon cuffs, because their hides are really good right now. It's that time of year, so I'll start running some coon cuffs and, get rid of my goal.
Oh, yeah, I could get a coon skin cap.
Yeah. I mean, for this year, my goal is probably 8 to 10 coons is where I've got to be, to keep the number in control. Because for the first couple of years, it was absolutely ridiculous. I think we killed, 70 or 80 raccoons in the first couple of years because they were that overpopulated.
Well, I know.
Isn't that crazy, though? I mean, a lot of people say, oh, we don't have many coons, but you start trapping them or whatever, and they're like ghosts.
Yeah.
There's a lot more.
And I noticed the impact of having fewer on our place because I'm not seeing them when we're deer hunting like we used to. And there's one stand in particular on our middle ridge that we haven't sat too much this year yet, but that one was just full of coons. We were always seeing coons while we were deer hunting, and I didn't see any coons.
And there's still, on my trail cameras, I'm still seeing coons up there,
sure.
and I still see some coons, but yeah, and that's why I say, now it's just keeping them in check. It's I don't want to kill them all. I don't want to, and that's, I think, too, something else that people look at. No, you're going to overkill. You want to kill too many. If you're really into management, and not just, deer and turkey, but overall population management of all animals, and some people might get mad at me for saying that, but even wolves, and I'm not a wolf fan at all. Okay. They are born and bred to do one thing, and that is to kill. And, I talked to this lady out in Yellowstone, and she's like, oh, that's not true. They don't kill. And I'm like, lady, I don't know what you're smoking, but I'd really like to have some of it because I don't know where you're getting your scientific data, but I have enough scientific data to blow you out of the water right about now. And so it's not that I want them all dead. They need to be controlled, just like every other predator. And people that don't understand that, they look at now our deer population. Oh, we got 3 million deer. I don't know where in the hell they come up with that number, 3 million deer. The people that I talk to.
It's 3 or 2. It was an obscene amount. Yeah. Whatever.
Some people say 2, some say 3. I don't know. Even the DNR can't figure it out. And, so they're like, our deer population is way down here. Everybody you talk to, the middle part of the state, they say, oh, they're good. But again, the predator control, you need that. And just like you need the rifle hunters. Okay, if you're not a rifle hunter like myself, I don't do a lot of rifle hunting. I have nothing against rifle hunting. I like going out and shooting rifles. I like shooting stuff with rifles. I don't do that much rifle hunting anymore. But you need those hunters to control things, to keep that population in check.
Well, I think, what it all comes down to, whether it's big game, whether it's predators, or whether it's other fur bearers, because we get, do they predate something? Yeah, they all predate something, but some of the fur bearers that can be trapped or maybe hunted even too, they aren't typically considered predators, but they're all, everything has a carrying capacity. The land that people own or manage or hunt or trap on has a certain carrying capacity for each animal. And so it's when the population gets above that carrying capacity is when it's no good for anybody.
Yeah, and all carrying capacity is different. It depends on how you're managing your property and what you do. You know, when I look at land management, I look at, you know, the difference, I guess, when I do consultations on land stuff is different than, I don't want to say all other consultants, but, you know, there's a lot of good consultants out there. But I have kind of switched gears, and it's not just about whitetails. It's about all wildlife and what is your carrying capacity on there. Because if you're strictly building property for whitetails, you're destroying something else for that habitat
Or
that,
not, or
that you might,
at least not maximizing
right,
that.
that you might need. You know, for that type of animal. Maybe it's a turkey, maybe it's something else that you like to hunt, but you have taken that habitat away to make one other habitat. So you have to, you know, and working with so many people over the years, that I've kind of come up with and said, hey, now, let's look at the entire spectrum of your property and how to maximize it for all species that are here. And that's kind of where I've changed, is because, again, it's what is your carrying capacity. And everybody says, well, I've got 40 acres of hardwoods, this is what it should be. Not necessarily. You know,
Right.
what's on that woods, you know, is it like a park and you can see from one end to the other, or do you have bedding area? Do you have food? Do you have water? Do you have, I mean, there's so many things that control that.
Mm-hmm.
And then that also controls your predators. And so then how many predators do I have to get rid of? And right now, is when you have to look at that predator population as far as coyotes coming up. Bobcats, again, that's a different season. Coyotes, especially if you own your own property, you can hunt them year round, or you can trap them year round. Right now is the best fur, all the way through February, first part of March. Now is when you're starting to come into their breeding season. So now is when you start looking at this, and you start, you know, right now is food. So you have to look at, when you're doing your trap sets, what part of the year is it? Right now with the snow, everything else, coyotes are hungry. Coyotes, no breeding season is coming up, you know, the end of January, February. So if their breeding season is then, now is when you look at, okay, if I'm going to trap now, you play off of their senses, and I want to make your, you know, your dirt holes, different food sets. You want those hay bale sets, different things. So, because that's what they want. They're looking for mice. They're looking for food. They're just like deer in the pre-rut. They're trying to put on as much weight and stuff as they can, because they know they're going to run. And they're going to run a long ways trying to breed. And so you focus on that. Once breeding season comes, now you've got to change. You know, now you've got more walkthrough sets. You've got more of...
And the hormone, maybe hormone attractants.
Right, and more hormone attractants, different things like that. So, you know, be a student of the game. Don't just say, oh, this is, you know, what I need to do, or this is what I've always done. Be a student of the game, because the game always changes. Whether it's trapping, whether it's hunting, it doesn't matter what it is, the game is going to change. As far as food, as far as breeding seasons, as far as weather, all that stuff changes. So again, be that student and figure it out.
Okay, I've got a question for you. Not trapping related, but it's predator reduction. You see a lot more people thermo hunting now this time of year. Is there a reason for that? You know, you're night hunting for coyotes?
Yeah.
Are they more active now because they're coming into the breeding season?
They are. I mean, and naturally coyotes are just more of a nocturnal animal anyway.
Okay.
You know, so being nocturnal and coming into the breeding season, they're doing this now. You know, here's another thing that people don't understand. They might understand, but they don't take it to heart, is the more coyotes you kill right now. Okay, so you have to look at that number and what you're killing. Because the more that you kill right now, they will throw more pups to bring that population back. That is what Mother Nature has done for them. So if you kill too many, they're going to throw way more pups, and then you're going to be right back into the same problem or a worse problem than you're in. Right. So in order to do that is right now you have to start and kill some slowly, different, take out X amount of number. When you really truly want to start killing these is right after breeding season. Because right after breeding season, that's when you start laying the hammer down as far as thermal hunting at night, as far as different things. I mean, you can do it anytime you want because it's fun. It's something cool to go out there and do that. But for myself, as far as trapping and stuff, that March, April, the first part of April for me, because I own the land, I like that time of year because now as those coyotes are already pregnant, those females are pregnant, stuff like that, they can't throw those pups if they're not alive, right?
Yeah.
And so they've already bred. Their mind has told them, or Mother Nature has told them, you're going to throw this many because the population is, now you're helping reduce that even more. And you're getting that predator control under control to do what you have to do. Okay, doing it right now, it's fun. And a lot of guys are doing it right now because their hides are getting to their peak. I mean, this is when their hides are really good. They've got that good thick fur. All the hair is good. And so that's a lot of times why people are hunting right now. It's not really, some of it's for predator control, but a lot of it's, they're trying to get those coyotes for fur. They're selling them to fur buyers.
Which, let's face it, the prices are not good for most things. But, if you can get the coat at its prime, and especially if it's a larger coyote, then you'll have the best chance of getting the higher dollar value.
And you're going to get enough to pay for your gas and, maybe, depends on how many you shoot. And if you're good at skinning it and good at taking care of it yourself, you're probably going to, make enough to pay your gas to run around and do that stuff and maybe your ammunition.
I don't know if I go that far.
And that's,
ammo's not cheap.
Ammo's not cheap. And that's about it. You're not going to get, maybe over a few years you might get your thermal paid for, but then you're going to have to go buy another thermal because it's outdated.
Yeah. Nobody's going to put themselves through college on their fur anymore. We heard a story once at a trade show, somebody who, back in the day was trapping as a early teenager, and did a lot of trapping and, paid for his college.
Yeah. So,
yeah.
But yeah, it's, if you're not a trapper, and you want to learn, hey guys, it's not, what you think it is. Back in the day, I thought, oh man, this is cruel and inhumane and mean. And now I look at it and, as I've learned it, it's, it makes you a better hunter too, because you have to understand the lay of the land. You have to understand how these animals travel. You can't just go set a set and go, oh, this is a great place, for a set. It might not be. It's, again, you have to be that student of the game and figure it out, and it'll make you that much better at it.
Increased your woodsmanship, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep. And
absolutely.
It's something else to do in the downtime of the year. And again, it makes you a better outdoors person overall. And it makes you respect the animal that much more. Especially when you're out there trying to figure it out and you go, man, these things are smart.
You're getting outsmarted by them.
They're a lot smarter than what I thought they were. And, so it's not that you go set a trap and you're going to get an animal in it. That doesn't happen. They're pretty smart. So if you want to test your woodsmanship and your skills, go take your class, and learn about trapping and go out and do it. And I think you're going to have a lot of fun doing it. But again, you're just going to be that much better at everything you do from that point forward.
So do most states have the trapper's education that you must take in order to trap, or is Wisconsin kind of unique to that?
I suspect, I don't know for certain, but I suspect that there are requirements, at least for certain, people of a certain age and younger, potentially, and sometimes there's some grandfathering in,
Because Wisconsin is everybody, right, Michelle? No matter age doesn't,
no, if
like
you've
hunter
ever,
safety.
there is
Go ahead.
there is a little bit of a grandfathering in, like if you had ever had a trapper's license prior to this date.
I
You're
think it was like
grandfathered
73 or something like
It might be
that.
similar, yeah, because I know we had a
Okay.
friend who, trapped on their own farm, when he was a kid.
Sure.
And so there are some exceptions like that, but I
Okay.
think because the trapper associations, are alluded to like the best practices,
Yeah.
and things like that. Like they want to make sure, and the DNR does too, that people are doing things correctly and humanely, and that where everybody is putting a good face forward, for trapping, for people, for non-trappers and the public who might come upon a trap. We want to have it look like a very positive thing, that it behooves, the states to, require a class.
You want to shed good light and not
That's a
not
good way to
give
say it.
trappers a bad
Put it in
name.
a positive
and-
light.
Yeah. And the other thing in the state of Wisconsin, so if you own your own land, you do not need a trapper's license for certain animals. Now, if you want to do a fisher, bobcat, I think there's
Maybe otter.
I think
might be in
otter.
that list.
There's 3 or 4 animals on a list that if you want to do that, you have to complete that trapper's ed class, even if it's on your own land. Because, I said that to the warden. I said, do I need one? Because I had tried to trap years prior. Not successful, but I had tried. Coons, I did. I mean, I was successful with coons. But I said I drew a bobcat tag and I'm going to just trap on my own land. Do I need to have this class? And he says, absolutely. He says, it doesn't matter. These are the animals that you need that. But I believe that on your own land does not mean your brother, your sister, your aunts and uncles and everything else. It's got to be in your name.
Yeah, so check the regulations.
Yeah,
'Cause,
definitely check the
Definitely,
regulations.
whatever state you're in, look at the regulations. We have not trapped out of state
No.
to, so we haven't had to look into that. Like there's a couple states we could, and maybe it's crossed our mind, but we haven't yet to have to look at that.
Right. So.
And there's probably some reciprocity, just like there is with the hunter safeties. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we had a nice conversation there about trapping and predator control. So, whatever you're doing right now, whether you're out there deer hunting, whether you're doing some trapping or predator hunting, good luck to you. And whatever it is, own the season.
Follow Own the Season Podcast on Facebook and Instagram. Thanks for listening.
Check back weekly for new episodes.